ورحمة الله وبركاته. Alhamdulillah. Salatu wassalamu ala Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Welcome to the R2F show, Return to Fitrah show. We are the Return to Fitrah channel, and we're your hosts. Thank you for joining us, everybody. For those of you that are new to our content, we are a channel dedicated to helping Muslims return to the Fitrah, especially from deviant, sectarian, cult groups. So that's what we do. We produce content to help people, free themselves, free their family members from cult groups, and we talk about all topics related to that general area. Today's a pop-up show, so we thank everybody for that's tuning in either now or later when it goes on. And we have a few topics to talk about, and we're just going to get right into it. Just real quick, some logistics. If you have any questions, type them in the chat. We usually take a few minutes before we sign off to look through the chat to see if anybody has any questions. And that's it. So the first thing we want to bring up, and it would be real quick, but Amr, if you could bring it up if you get a chance, is on Facebook on the Sheikh Jelani exposed page. Oh, not that one yet. The actual the one where there was like a video.
I got you. Yeah, hold on a second.
Yeah. So there's a video here. If you go to the Sheikh Jelani exposed page, someone posted a video showing all these documents, and what these documents are they're basically paperwork showing how much cash the people that were traveling from the cult of Tmoa. For those of you who don't know, Tmoa, or otherwise known as the Muslims of America, it's a cult in America, Sufi-based cult that pretty much the leaders of the cult have extorted millions and millions of dollars from their followers. And these people here is every time that they travel back and forth, you have to declare how much cash you have. And for those who don't travel, the limit you can have is $10,000, right? Otherwise, you start setting off red flags, right? So, and the video shows, and I just did a quick estimate of at least 40 documents, and this is time people going in each time they go into the country, of them having $10,000 in cash. So if you do quick math, 40 times 10, $400,000. I don't know what time frame these papers represent, but some people have been doubting us when Uncle MJ, may Allah be pleased with him, may Allah forgive him, was on our show and said, yeah, there's been millions of dollars that have been going over there. We've done other shows talking about how much money there's been. We've talked about Noor and the Jelani family fighting over hundreds of thousands of dollars in gold bars and properties and millions of dollars of properties. We just don't know how much proof we have to provide for people to actually understand and realize, like, yes, they have extorted millions of dollars from these people tax-free every time they go over. And this is just cash. This is just cash they're holding in hand. We're not talking about PayPal. We're not talking about Cash App, Venmo, or any other types of electronic transfers that have gone over to the leaders of this cult. So that's pretty much it. You guys, I mean, it's a fact. We just wanted to point it out because it's just more clear documentation of how much money is going through this organization.
And so if you think about it like this, right? Sorry. And I don't have the exact numbers. But think about this. These, like, what's the date on these? Is there a date there?
It says 2015.
2015.
2015.
Yeah, 10 years ago.
All right. And so, because a lot of times there's some people that, alhamdulillah, may Allah bless them, but their intelligence is not that high. The other people that they are intelligent enough to understand what we're about to say. And so hopefully somewhere on the spectrum, everybody can get a little bit of something. So think about this. When you have a surplus of money, when you have a certain amount of money, and usually it's people who are doing things illegal have this problem. They have lots of cash, and sometimes they need something to do with it. And sometimes it's even when you're not doing anything illegal, but when you have a surplus of cash, you need to do certain things with it. You could blow it, you could waste it, you could give it away. But a lot of times people have, when they have a surplus amount of cash, they have to do something with it, right? And we've heard the stories about, bags full of money over there. Or even, like Scrooge McDuck style, like bed of money or whatever. But think about this. This is 2015. So what we know is that this has been pretty much going on since the 80s, right? Okay. Where this Sheikh came, then he left. So this has been going on at least since the 80s. Yep. Now, when you have excess money, we've heard the stories documented of where he loaned people money and they ran up the mountain with it or whatever. But also, one thing we know is that they have been purchasing properties. So just think of the appreciation in value. It's not just about the millions of dollars that they extorted and that they basically strong-armed away from the people. Mm-hmm. But think about this, millions of dollars since the 80s going over. Even if they were putting a fraction of that into real estate, think of how much real estate has appreciated since the 80s, since the 90s, since the mid 2000s. Like 2008, there was a market crash, global market crash or whatever. But even since then, real estate prices worldwide, even in Pakistan, but just real estate prices and property values have skyrocketed since then. So when you think about the cash that was taken over, and then even if they were even just basically adequate in managing and investing that money, they have not only taken millions of dollars from you, but that those millions have appreciated even without them even really doing anything, if they just bought land or property. And we have heard the reports and we've seen where they have bought land, properties, bought gold. If we look at the numbers, look at how much gold has appreciated since the 80s, since the 90s, since the mid 2000s. So it's not unreasonable to think that they do have 99 kilogram bars of gold, 2.2 pounds each. It's not unreasonable. It's not unreasonable for them to have millions of dollars in properties, because if they bought them in the 80s or in the 90s or in the 2000s, mid 2000s, even 2015, up until now, think about the appreciation in property values, in precious metal, values of precious metals. I mean, it is astronomical what they've been able to do.
I just did a quick search, and in the last 20 years, real estate prices have gone up 106%. Just the last 2 decades. And if you look at prices, especially if they're like smart with what they're buying, like where they're buying stuff, that's just like an average. There's some places that went up way higher than that. So if you're talking about, like you said, this is like, and mind you, 2000 is 20 years after 1980. So we're talking about just in the 2000s, 2000 to 2025. But just say at year 2000, they bought $1 million worth of real estate, right? You just double that. And that's just for one, like if you keep compounding that year after year after year, multiple properties and all that, if they're just a little bit smart with their money, and like you said, it really gets exponential. It keeps on increasing. And what we constantly ask y'all to do is think about all that money. Even you know what? Don't even think about all that money. Think about the amount of money in that video, right? $400,000. Yep. And what that could do for your entire community in the United States right now today. You could build multiple schools on multiple properties, fix up these roads. Y'all keep raising $10,000, $15,000 every year to get them like plowed or, get the potholes out every single year. Y'all are raising money for this and that, right? Right there in that picture, you're raising $500,000 to build your shrine tomb to your sheikh. They have this money in their pockets and they're still begging you to do the things that they want to do. It's really sad.
Absolutely. And just to backtrack real quick, it's not just $1 million of property in America. It's in Pakistan, right? And Pakistan is a recently free country, right? So they're developing. So the price of the rupee in Pakistan is going to eventually go up more and more and more as they get further and further along as a society and a country, right? So we're seeing with the freaking lady overseas in Pakistan right now going crazy, right? Eventually, tourism is going to influx in Pakistan, right? And as time goes on, right, property values are going to skyrocket even more in these foreign lands, right? So the $1 million in rupees back then, that's probably 10 million now, right? And 10 years from now, maybe 20 million, right? So it's not about America, right? It's not about America, right? And for people, listen, I get it. Like, oh my God, we have to raise money, give sadaqah. This is not sadaqah. This is not you giving for the sake of Allah, right? These folks are swindling you in broad daylight, and you're fine with it. Not as the great K2 said, for you to even question us about the money, all right? Time has got to you, all right? This is what your leader said, all right? This is what your leader said.
It's funny because when you think about it, right? Like because a lot of people say, "Oh, it's sadaqah." Sadaqah has no consequence attached to it, right? Sadaqah is totally voluntary. That means like basically you get the blessings for giving it because nothing is going to happen to you negatively if you don't, right? You could be a good Muslim, make all your 5 prayers, do all these things, and you could be a millionaire and never get sadaqah, and Allah is not gonna like punish you for it because you didn't have to give it, right? But you guys will be punished if you don't give this money, not by Allah, but by your owners, your overseers, right? Your cattle owners.
The simple fact that it's not voluntary and that it's forced, it cancels it out for being sadaqah. There's no, like, for instance, like if you want to get the reward for praying tahajjud or something like that, or but if every day I come in and I beat you, force you to stand up, have a gun to your back, like pray, you're not gonna get the reward for that.
Yeah.
It's forced. It's not there's no barakah in it whatsoever. So the fact that you can't stop doing it automatically tells you this is not sadaqah. It completely canceled out. So if it's not sadaqah and it's not zakat, because we've been over that already, it's not zakat and it's not sadaqah, then what is it?
They basically admitted already that okay, they can't hide it anymore, and now you hear basically people who are catching on to this. You hear them saying the line of, well, we owe this to them for all the stuff for all they have done for us. And it's like, okay, well, let's look at this, right? From an Islamic point of view. Who has done more for you? Mubarak Jelani, Noor, these other cult leaders, or Rasulullah, right? We all know the answer to that. Rasulullah has done more for you and everybody in this entire world, right, Muslim and non-Muslim, than anybody else that has ever existed, right? What did Rasulullah ask from you? Did the Sahabas make him a millionaire? Who was the richest Sahaba? The one I know most is Uthman. He still got a bank account today, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He still got a bank account. He still gives charity. He was very rich. Was Rasulullah rich? Did he seek that, right? And I'm sure like the Sahabas were ready to give him everything they had if he asked for it. And whenever he did have any wealth, what did he do? He put it right back to his community. So all these millions of dollars, right, that you've been giving to fund literally one family, how could that have been used not only to benefit your own sectarian community, but also just the ummah? Right? You could have been donating this to people in Palestine or Kashmir, all these different places you guys, you want to be champions of justice, and we do all this humanitarian aid and all that. Your leaders would have been getting Nobel Peace Prizes for the amount of money your community would have been given to all these different humanitarian projects, not just showing up in, slides, taking pictures, right? Like, oh, we're doing all this work. You really have to just step back and just open your eyes and just it is what it is. And it's funny because Amr mentioned that quote from K2 is like, how dare you ask us about the money, right? And they and I know Amr had something to say specifically about K2, and we'll use that to transition to that. But even in this memo that they released, like they have these community newsletters or announcements. Anytime I've been involved with like some kind of community or group or religious group, and they have like a community announcement or newsletter or something, they always mention the finances. We raised $20,000. We got $20,000 this month, and we used it to pay $10,000 of bills, and $5,000 went to here. They have a newsletter, and they talk about all these different projects that they've been doing. They'll never mention any dollars or cents. They'll never mention that. Oh yeah, guess what? We raised $100,000 this week in membership dues, and we spent $99,000 of it on Noor's travel budget or whatever they're gonna do. They'll never mention that. But they're silent on the stuff that actually really matters.
I mean, okay, so
and just real quick before we move on to this one, I just want to just point out and talk directly to some of these people who were basically mules. They basically were mules, like the drug
mules.
Drug runners. They use them. They usually use women. I mean, and it's actually sad because most of the trips people went over, it was a lot of women, a lot of young girls, a lot of women or whatever. And think about this. Maybe when these women went over, they had their bags, and then, members of the admin or shore council, whoever, probably maybe they put, a package inside their luggage and said, hey, this is for our bougie or whatever. It's a gift for our bougie. You don't need to worry about opening it or whatever. But I'm pretty sure that majority of people who went over, who took packages over of $10,000, they probably had $9,999.99 in this gift. And the people, you knew what it was. And for those people, you knowingly did this. And even if now the thing is, you are responsible for the ramifications of what that money did. If that money was taken unjustly, you are part of it. You're responsible. And so some of you people were teenagers or 20s or whatever, and now you're adults. Maybe you have families or whatever, but you're still culpable, and you still are responsible for what you did, and you're responsible for the repercussions of what that money allowed him to do. And so you have to think to yourself, how can you rectify and correct what you did? Now, you can ask Allah for forgiveness if the crime and the harm, if the crime was against Allah. Okay, so you should ask for Allah for forgiveness anyway. But for some of you people who partook in that, taking money over there, taking them, and the money was forced out of the pockets and the bank accounts of fathers who, instead of taking care of their children, gave the money. Even old elderly women whose Social Security checks, they were forced, or you're getting off the land. I was there when they threw a lady off the land for that very reason. So people's Social Security checks, people's government assistance, people who they actually were eligible to receive zakah, instead they were forced to pay. You are responsible for the harm that those people endured. You were a helper in that. So how can you rectify that? Do you want to go before Allah having that on your scale? You're thinking, oh, you know what sins maybe you have done with your hands and eyes and feet or your body or whatever, and I've tried to ask Allah for forgiveness for that, and so you take an accounting of things maybe you can say you did, but these are things that you've harmed others that you asking Allah for forgiveness is not enough, because Allah will not forgive you for the harm you did to another person unless that person forgives you. And unless that person has been rectified. So you may come before Allah and have your ibadah and your good deeds maybe taken away and given to that person as compensation for the harm you caused them. Or maybe that person's sins, that person's bad deeds get loaded onto your account because of the harm you caused them to balance out what you did, what you helped do. So I would say you have to, at the very least, try to do something to compensate. Ask the people, hey, I was one of those people. I don't care if you're in Tmoa now still, or you're out and you're allegedly off the juice. You have to say, hey, listen, I ask Allah to forgive me for what I did, and I ask those people, if I harmed anyone in this me being a part of this, then I ask you to forgive me. I sincerely want to. And then hopefully they will forgive you, or they won't hold it against you. But you have to do that, because you may come before Allah. And I even say for ourselves, I was one of the people at one point in time who collected the taxes. But you know what I would always say? And it wasn't something that, nowadays I think of it as something that, I guess I was ahead of my time, but I would tell people, I never told a person, you must pay or you're. I said, listen, whatever you can do. I never browbeat anyone and basically forced them to pay. And I got fired for that, actually. I say, alhamdulillah. I looked at it like it didn't make sense to force someone who was already poor to pay money that they did not have. Yeah. But to wrap up, those people, whoever you are, however old you are, maybe you were doing this since the 80s. Maybe you're 40, 50, 60, 70 years old now. Still, those chickens may come home to roost. So I would say make every effort to rectify, what was done and what you helped perpetrate against the people. And hopefully that they will forgive you, and Allah will forgive you, and everything will be good on Yawm al-Qiyamah. Otherwise, I don't know best what we could be dealing with.
You hear me?
Yeah, there he is.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So yeah, just to piggyback on what Mubarak was saying, I think we got to go back. I think we got to go back a little bit, further back to the roots of this, because if I was to play devil's advocate, most people are going to pretty much say, well, I didn't really do this. I didn't really do that. It wasn't really me. It wasn't this. It wasn't that. And they're going to make light of their own participation in these situations. That's what I've noticed that a lot of people be doing. You know what I mean? No one's going to actually own up and say, oh yeah, I was. And even if they say it, they're going to say it and whisper it to themselves. They're not going to come out and actually say it. Like, they're not going to do something like what Uncle MJ, may Allah forgive him his sins, what he did, what Uncle Adim did. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to do that. Just going to sit around in corners and just say, well, I didn't really do this. I didn't really do that. And I'm basically saying this to say we all have this individualistic type of mindset, and it needs to be a little bit more collective. Everyone who has did some harm or has been involved in these type of situations, we should all unite, to be honest. We talked about this on one of the other episodes where everyone's doing a little fence riding and stuff. People are still hanging in the shadows. We actually need to unite together and come forward with a lot of this information and be, kind of like solid and more structured, like a cemented structure when it comes to fighting and combating evil. Because right now I feel like we're a little bit fragmented, and it's only a handful of people actually speaking out. A lot of people are whispering in the corners and stuff like that. And I think it's counterproductive to the overall, message and mission. And I'm talking to myself first, but those who know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, all right, let's get into this memo, inshallah. All right. The Muslims of America, Inc., Majlis Ashura.
Let's skip going over the whole thing, because there's only a couple of things in here we actually have to really go over.
Okay, but just real quickly,
yeah,
right?
Go ahead.
So this last paragraph here, right? It really sparked my eyes about an idea, right? So it says assertions of lovers of Allah, his Lord, right? And our Shaykh, right? Hazrat Sheikh Sayyid Mubarak Ali Shah Jilani, Sheikh Sayyid Noor Shah Jilani, right? And so when I read the Sayyid Noor Shah Jilani, right? For those who don't know, right? Noor Jilani, right? She is the widow of the cult leader of Tmoa, Mubarak Jilani, right? And Mubarak Jilani's family, they claim to be of Ahlul Bayt, right? But how it works is, for those who are unaware, if you as a man marry a lady, who's not Ahlul Bayt, right? She doesn't become Ahlul Bayt. That's not how it works. Her kids become Ahlul Bayt because the kids are from your lineage, right? But she does not become a Sayyid, right? Similarly, like if I were to go overseas to Saudi, right, get a second wife who is a Sayyid, I don't become a Sayyid now because I married someone who was a Sayyid, right? It's not how it works. So Noor, she said that according to her, right, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to her in a dream and said that, hey, you are part of the family now. You are part of my family. You are now Ahlul Bayt, right? And my question is for the people in Tmoa, right? Okay, does this not apply to K2 as well? And the whole family? Because like, are they not like he didn't come to them in the dream like, yo, listen, Abu and brother and Noor, you guys are all Ahlul Bayt. It's just her. Like she excluded everyone out of her family. Like her dream didn't include her brother or her father or anyone else. It was just her. I'm like, come on, bro.
You went overseas. You got the halala, and she went self.
You gotta exclude the whole family. I was thinking about that. I was like, yo, how selfish can you be? How selfish can you be, Noor?
But you know, even like looking at this paragraph, when you think about it in poor K2 or whatever, I mean, but who is actually like, as far as our lives? I mean, I'll just speak for myself. K2 has had more involvement and more impact on Tmoa than Noor. Right?
I don't know about that.
I'm going like Noor didn't do nothing, but we didn't know who she was. She was just one of the Sheikh's wives. People dealt with K2 on a day-to-day basis all across the nation.
But I feel like from the shadows and the whole like intrigue side of
from behind the scenes and all that, right? But he's not mentioned in this paragraph at all. And then also you got to look at the subconscious of like how they order things. Poor little Sheikh 7 Sultan, or right? Sheikh, what is it? Sheikh Saeed Noor
Hussein Shah Jalani.
What order did they put him in?
Last.
After Noor. So they listed 6 Sultan, then they list Noor, then they listed 7 Sultan. So clearly Noor is more important than the 7 Sultan. And I got one last thing, and it was a Freudian slip by then. They call her Sheikha, feminine version of Sheikh, Saida, feminine version of Said, Noor, mother of Noor, feminine word.
Noor.
Shah Jalani. Shah is a masculine word. It's a masculine title. It's a Shah. I think the feminine version is like Malika Shah or Shastani or something weird like that, right? But they give her a masculine title, Shah Jalani.
Hey, nowadays, you never know. You never know. Some people are one, other, or both, or whatever.
True. Yeah. True. You're right.
But I will say this for the young Sheikh. Maybe you don't know, but listen. For us, listen. Hussein Adams, K2, Tweezy, whatever you want to call it. They told us that Tweezy was disrespectful, so we had to stop calling him. But we still call him Tweezy.
What is first over here? This
right? Explain.
We just make up random names. Like we used to say, hey, you shouldn't call the Khalifa Saab Tweezy. Whatever.
That sounds like a rap name.
Yeah, but the point is.
Hold on. Let me just comment. Hold on, Mubarak, because you said a lot. You just dropped a grenade. I mean, I got jokes for days. I nearly went to Tweezy. You got that calling that
Tweezy.
Tweezy Adams.
I mean, we just like we would always just say random stuff like that. But the point is this: K2 was that dude in Tmoa. K2 was the guy. He was that dude for a long time. He was, as a teenager, I think he kind of was like took a leadership role, and he was like you know. I mean, just seriously. I mean, he was like your girl's favorite. Your favorite guy. I mean, that's just what it was. He was. I seen a lady one time. I seen a lady literally have a breakdown at an Eid once, almost, and said, "Oh my goodness, I would believe that brother needs to have Purdah." I mean, this is how they was fangirl, like he should cover his face.
I got one for you.
Like Yusuf alayhi salam type John. But I'm just saying that to say that on like many different levels, as leadership, as a leader, as literally just on the ground doing a lot of stuff, for the cult or whatever. And you know, he was like the cool guy or whatever for a long time. So the thing is that for him to be passed over when he had the clout, like he had the respect of everyone pretty much, except maybe K1. But the point is, like, everybody, like, you know, he was like a superstar. He was like a rock star for a good like 20-year run. Where, you know, he was pretty much untouchable, and for him to get passed over like this is like, if you just look at it from just an organizational you know, ascension type of perspective, I mean, he got played hard. For them to, I mean, let's be real. She made up the whole joint about, you know, her being the next Sheikh or whatever. He knows it's made up. He knows she ain't have no dreams. Rasul didn't tell her nothing or whatever. She knows that you know, Jelani ain't write no letter and tell her, oh, you're in charge or whatever. You know, he knows this. Yeah. And for him to be passed over like this, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised for him to be a little bit salty. And I would say that, you know, I mean, I don't agree with anything they're doing, but I would understand if he felt a certain type of way. That's all I'm saying. So I just for Amr, maybe you don't know, you're a little bit too young, but it back in the day, and then up through the you know, 2000s and up through there, he was a guy. He was a guy. It would be natural. You would expect if Jelani would have named someone to be like the person to take over until Noor Sultan or whoever's going to take over, you would have no doubt. If they took a vote, it would be K2 100. Like, it'd be all the way until, you know,
Noor. I was at my companion's house, and we were criticizing K2 for something dumb he said at the khutbah or something like that, right? And a heated debate broke out between one of my former companions, and of course I was there as well, and my brother was there as well, his wife and his wife's sister, and when they literally said to my companion, me and my brother just laughed. It was like, all right, we ain't talking to y'all anymore. You are not even half the man as K2 is. And I'm like, and I'm looking at my companion like, and I'm looking at him, looking at his wife like,
hey, yo.
I was like, oh, I'm gonna get out of here.
Yo, Talak on the spot, yo. Talak on the spot.
Immediately, leave me forever. The hell is wrong with you?
Hey, yo, I mean, that's wild, man. That's, you know, that's crazy for him to say it, but I'm telling you, there's a lot of ladies that felt that way.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. I think the next thing that we really got to get into
land or whatever. No.
Is
like,
yeah, they're buying land, whatever. I mean, I really don't care too much about
how are they buying land when asking for money.
The thing is, they didn't. I'm pretty, and the people could correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure there was probably some opportunity. I used to live on Maryville. There was probably some opportunity to buy one of the adjacent properties, and they raised money from the people in New York, and then they bought the property.
Okay.
Or they got somebody who just got their tax return, or just got an inheritance, or just got a retirement check and say, hey, we need you to buy this land for us, right? So brother so-and-so probably bought the land or put up most of the money for the land. They bought it, and we're going to say, oh, it's an accomplishment for us. And this person's probably going to think, I'll give you an example of what this probably is. There's a certain brother, I won't say his name because I don't want to embarrass him or his family because he is deceased. But multiple times, like he was a brother that he basically somehow had a nice like golden parachute, like he had retirement funds, had some kind of settlement or something where he had a lot of, like, a significant amount of money, not enough to make him like rich, but he had money. Multiple times he bailed Islamberg off of tax repossession list by paying, you know, $10,000 here, $15,000 here, $20,000 here, and guess what? They would not let him be buried on the land when he passed away.
And just think about what Jaffer just said, right? He had to go out of his own pocket to get $10,000, $20,000 for these lands that you guys live on, right? Meanwhile, they're sending $400,000 a year minimum, all right, over to Pakistan.
Crazy. But I want to get to the part where they talk about someone telling Salman about getting help.
This one. Okay. The judge ordered both Salman Rahim and Salim Begum to be evicted from the property. Salman's frivolous lawsuit against the community, where he called us a cult, remains active. The community has taken notice of and complained about some of the individuals who claim to be community members openly supporting Mr. Rahim's lawsuit. The community should know that a person would never chop their own foot with an axe. Thus, those who support anything against their own community truly not consider themselves a part of it. Respite has been extended to give such people the opportunity to correct their bearings, or at least be firm enough to say they are not with us. During the last court date, the judge ordered Salima Begum to be evicted from the property. Tmoa members who were present noted that Naima Braxton, a Charlotte County elected official who was observing the proceedings, when asked about his interest in the case, Braxton claimed, "I was sent here by Linda Williams for Salman Rahim." He further clarified Linda Williams' sister Sadaqah, the eviction portion of the case has been resolved. Blah, blah, blah. Okay.
So basically, they're calling out and throwing this. This is probably somebody in the Jamaat, Sister Sadaqah, who asked some kind of government person to go show up at Sal's case. So basically, just let everybody know, like, yeah, she's an enemy. That's pretty much what they're doing right there.
Why does that matter? Anyway, additionally, okay, so a recent incident during the Kilwas in Holy Islamville, New York, the great Wali of Allah, Ghusl Azam Hazrat Abdul Qadir Jilani.
So Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani, he's a well-known historical scholar, Sheikh, that unfortunately a lot of Sufi cult groups have identified themselves with. Even Mubarak Jilani, who claims that he's allegedly related to him or a descendant of him. But that's who they're talking about. Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani.
The real one, okay.
Yep.
As such, a family member of Salman contacted him about a return to the community, explaining the aid that is extended from Jilani for the Talib who believes in him. Why? Okay. Anyway.
So right here, this is a very important part, right? Mm-hmm. Because the main thing that we're trying to do, there's levels to this. There's levels to our fight against these cult groups. And yes, we want people to leave the cult group so that they're not getting oppressed, transgressed, and dealing with all that and wasting their money and all these different things. But really, it's small potatoes when you're talking about stuff like this one little sentence.
Yep.
Right? Because the number one priority is to get people to stop believing in shirk, to stop following shirk. And this sentence, this whole sentence and paragraph or whatever, I mean, there's multiple instances, like they call him Gausul Azam, which is a shirk statement because they're saying he's the greatest helper, which that's what that means. Gausul Azam, the greatest helper. Who's the greatest helper? If I ask my little kid who's 8 years old, 5 years old, 6 years old, if I ask them who's the greatest helper, they will know to say it's Allah. Mm-hmm. They would know to say that, right? And to say that a family, this is, and here we go for all the people that don't. What is the name of their fake school? Lighthouse Academy.
Yeah.
Right. This is, if for anybody that was thinking like, oh, this is a real legit Muslim organization, right? That's teaching people Islam. No, they just talked about how they had a kilwa, and this is what they're teaching the people. They're teaching the people shirk because they say that, oh, our family member reached out to Salman and said that this community gets aid and assistance from Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani as long as you believe in him. Mm-hmm. Okay? As long as you believe in him. So there's multiple issues here, and this is where I really wanted to touch on for this pop-up show, is that, first of all, Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani is dead, right? He passed away. His affairs are with Allah. We don't know if he's going to make it to Jannah or go to hell. We don't know that. We think by his actions, it appears that he was a good Muslim and did his best. Yes, he made mistakes, but for the consensus of people that knew him and knew his life, like, yeah, he was a pious person. So, inshallah, he'll go to Jannah as we expect. But we don't know if he was a munafiq. We don't know what was in his heart. That's one. And again, he's dead. We can't seek help from the dead. He's a human being. We say this prayer. I'm going to rant for a little bit. Y'all have to just give me a little bit of time to rant on this. We say, I don't know how many times a day, if you count them up, right? We have, okay, let's say bare minimum. You got 2 sunnahs for Fajr, 2 fard for Fajr, right? 4 fard for Dhuhr. So we're at 8. 4 for Asr. We're at 12. 3 for Maghrib. 15. 4 for Isha. 19. At least 19 times a day. If you're doing the bare minimum salats, you are saying the Fatiha 19 times a day. You are saying, Iyyak na'budu wa iyyak nasta'in. What does that mean? Oh Allah, you alone we worship, and alone we ask for help. Allah, this is we don't have to go look for hadiths and look for ayats of the Quran, which I've done so that we could really just drive this point home. You say this every single day. And for someone to come to you, and you guys had a whole camp learning about how some dead human being will give you aid and assistance as long as you believe in him. Believe in what? Believe that he existed? Believe like what? This is not Islam. Let's go even further. How many ayats in the Quran? How many hadiths can you guys pull up just off the top of your head? Just think about it. Allah says in Surah 29, ayat 17, seek your livelihood from Allah and worship him alone. Allah says in Surah 46, ayat number 5, who is more foolish than he who prays to other beings than Allah, to beings who are ever impotent to answer his prayer, right? You to answer prayer, answer your dua. They can't do anything. Allah says in Surah 27, ayat 62, is he not Allah who answers the appeal of the needy when he calls upon him and removes the deed? Allah says in Surah 35, 13 and 14, if you invoke or call upon them, they don't hear your call. And in case even if they were to hear, right? Allah saying they can't hear you, even if they could, they couldn't grant it to you what you're asking them for. And on the day of resurrection, they will disown your worshiping of them. And notice how Allah is associating asking people, making dua, requesting dead people with worship, because we have the hadith. Dua is worship. Making dua, asking people for stuff, not just regular worldly things like, hey, can I get a ride to the store? Hey, can I borrow $20? We're talking about stuff that only Allah provides, stuff that dead people can't provide. And Allah says, and none can inform you like him who is the all-knower of everything. Okay, let's go back. Well, we know about the story of Ibrahim, alayhi salam, prophet of Allah. Angel Jibrail came to him when he was about to be thrown in the fire. Angel Jibrail. If Angel Jibrail came to me and asked me if I needed anything, I'm giving him a laundry list because I know he's coming from Allah, right? This is why the Tawheed of Ibrahim is so strong, because Angel Jibrail came to him when he was on the catapult getting ready to get thrown in the fire and said, is there anything you need? And what did Ibrahim say to him? Not from you. Only not from you. I need it from Allah. This is the prophet of Allah. What about the hadith? What about what Rasulullah says? This is stuff that we should know, that we should have been studying. At least the 40 hadiths of Nawawi, right? And then there's a longer hadith, and it's a hadith. At least hadith Qudsi. Yep, hadith Qudsi. No. It's not hadith Qudsi. It's a hadith that Rasulullah said to Ibn Abbas. Okay, so he said, be mindful of Allah, and Allah will protect you. Be mindful, and you will find him in front of you. And here's really important. Here's the key part of this whole hadith. If you ask, if you are in need, if you want something, if you want aid, if you want assistance, then ask Allah alone. And if you want help, then seek help from Allah alone. And then it goes on to, if everybody was going to gather against you and to harm you, and Allah didn't want any harm, no harm will come against you. And if Allah wanted to harm you and everything in the world gathered to help you, they can't help you. But let's go even further, and I'm going to end with these. Let's go to what Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani himself said. Because this is where it gets really ridiculous, because they play on your ignorance. They play on your ignorance that you don't even go to these sources, that they're telling you Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani will provide you help if you believe in him. Okay, well, let's go look at what Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani has said. He says, where are the fasting people who were fasting with you in last years? Where are those who witnessed the nights of Ramadan with you? Where are your parents, siblings, and friends? By Allah, the destroyer of pleasures, death has reached them. He's saying they're dead. Their mashahid and mosques are empty. They can't harm or benefit themselves. They are waiting for the day when people will gather rewards to their creator. What else did he say? He said, oh Allah, the people in the graves can't get rid of their own sins. They can't free themselves. They can't be given time. They are dead and can't speak. They can't meet each other. They can't move until the day of judgment. Among them are those who are righteous, they're sinners, and the sinners are those who have failed and those who went on ahead. And he also says, oh, you who complain of your hardships, time, his calamities, to the creatures like him. He's saying, oh, you who complain and ask for help from people, humans like you. They never give you benefit nor take harm from you. And if you repent on them and you set them as partners in regards to the matter of Allah, they will distance you from Allah. They will be throwing you, oh, you who ignorant, claiming to have knowledge. He's talking to you, Noor. He's talking to you, K2. He's talking to all you members of the Tmoa cult who allegedly follow Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani. He's saying, oh, you ignorant people who think you have knowledge, seeking salvation from difficulties by complaining or asking for help from humans like you. What else does he say? He says, woe to you. Aren't you ashamed to seek your need and help from someone other than Allah? Aren't you ashamed to do that? To seek help from somebody or something other than Allah? While Allah is closer to you than all others? And he also says, and I'll end with this one, do not call on anyone besides Allah, as Allah said, and the masjids are for Allah, so invoke not anyone along with Allah. How much proof do you need that this crap that they're feeding you is straight bull crap? This is from Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani, and they allegedly taught you all about Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani and taught you that you should seek assistance from him, just believe in him, and he's going to help you. But while he was alive, he basically cursed and condemned these types of actions and said, don't ask for anybody except for Allah. Wake up, people. Wake up.
I mean, alhamdulillah, that was excellent. I'll just add a little bit to that. And I think we covered the ayah before on the show a few months back. But the reminder benefits the believers. But even when Allah says that, وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ, that when my servants ask about me, then I am near, and that He answers the call of the caller when they call. And Allah is telling you, I'm close to you, and I answer your call, your dua directly. Allah says this in Surah Al-Baqarah. I think it's on page 28, the bottom of page 28. Can't remember the ayah, I just know the page number in the bottom of 28. But Allah is telling you directly, so it just takes a little bit of paying attention. Even Surah Al-Fatiha, as Jafar said, even if you knew Surah Al-Fatiha and just followed that, you would not have fallen into this. And I would say this, the one thing that if you told Shaitan, who Shaitan is your avowed enemy, and the only thing he wants you to do is to go to Jahannam. He wants you to go to the fire. However you get there, he doesn't care. He just wants you to make it there. And if you told Shaitan, these are people that they call and they depend on the dead and people other than Allah for help. Mm-hmm. So the dua that normally people make for Allah, they make them to human beings. Even if they don't care, he wouldn't care who it was. as long as it's someone other than Allah, because that's called shirk, associating a partner with Allah. Shirk 101, he would be happy. Shaitan would be ecstatic. They're calling on, Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani or Fulan or Jesus or whoever. Great. I'm happy. Leave them there. We don't need to do nothing else. As long as we keep them doing that, I got him. He would be ecstatic. And if you told Shaitan, this person, they only make dua to Allah. They never call on anyone else. It doesn't matter what. Dead people and other deities, they don't call on anyone but Allah. They make dua to Allah for things that only Allah can do, and they don't do any of that other stuff. He'd be like, we don't got them. No. We got work to do here. We need to get them committing shirk. And so this is a test for you. But and I'll just say from it is the mission statement of which Allah told Rasulullah to basically run upon and to tell us to do. And Ja'far, you mentioned the ayah from Surah Al-Jinn, وَأَنَّ الْمَسَاجِدَ لِلَّهِ فَلَا تَدْعُوا مَعَ اللَّهِ أَحَدًا, that the masajid are for Allah. So don't call on anyone. Don't call on anyone besides Allah. So that should be clear enough. But the next 3 ayahs are so powerful in that Allah is telling Rasulullah what to say. He's telling him what to say to the people, right? In the next ayah, or ayah number 20, 21, 22, where Allah tells Rasulullah to say this. قُلْ إِنَّمَا أَدْعُو رَبِّي وَلَا أُشْرِكُ بِهِ أَحَدًا. I pray, I only invoke Allah. Innama means that everything that comes after it, it's just that. Basically, anything else is negated except for this, what's coming. Okay? So Rasulullah says, this is the Quran, Surah 72, ayah number 20. Okay? Allah is telling Rasulullah to say this directly. This one ayah 100% destroys everything that was said in that letter. What does Allah say? قُلْ إِنَّمَا أَدْعُو رَبِّي وَلَا أُشْرِكُ بِهِ أَحَدًا. I only invoke my Lord and I do not associate anything else with him. That means you only call Allah, and shirk, وَلَا أُشْرِكُ بِهِ أَحَدًا, shirk would be to invoke someone other than him. So that should be enough. But Allah didn't stop there. The next thing he told Rasulullah to say is what? قُلْ إِنِّي لَا أَمْلِكُ لَكُمْ ضَرًّا وَلَا رَشَدًا. I have no control over, I don't possess the power of harm or right direction. Rasulullah can't just say you're going to be rightly guided and all of a sudden you will be. Nor can Rasulullah does not have the power to cause harm to you. That's only from Allah. So, then Allah goes on to say, Rasulullah say this. What else? قُلْ إِنِّي لَنْ يُجِيرَنِي مِنَ اللَّهِ أَحَدٌ وَلَنْ أَجِدَ مِنْ دُونِهِ مُلْتَحَدًا. There will never protect me from Allah anyone. No one can protect even Rasulullah. So what about the rest of us? Abdul Qadir Jilani is not providing any benefit for anyone, and definitely not from the grave. Allah tells Rasulullah to say this. Indeed, there will never protect me from Allah anyone, nor will I find any other than him for a refuge, a safe place to go, somewhere where you can, be protected from whatever. So if we know this, if we know that this is what Allah told Rasulullah to tell us directly, then when these people say, oh, by you being in this little cult, this little group, Abdul Qadir Jilani is providing benefits directly for those, even if you have some weaknesses. This is a trick. What benefits is he providing that Allah has not already promised you that he will provide for you? Yep. Allah already said no one can protect you from him. No one can harm you if he doesn't allow it, and no one can benefit you if he doesn't allow it. So is Abdul Qadir Jilani, can he overrule that? You would be a kafir if you said that, because it's the opposite of what Allah said. Yep. This is why we say some of these people, this is why we say if you believe these things that they tell you, you're not Muslim, because the Muslim can't believe this stuff.
Yep.
So what benefit do you believe that he's going to provide? Dead from the grave. Yep. You believe that you should call on him for anything? Allah already said, don't do that. And if you do that, it's shirk. So I mean, is there some sort of financial benefit, some sort of worldly benefit? You live in slums, basically. You're living in rundown slums. So it can't be that.
Yep.
You don't even know the religion enough to even put into practice Surah Al-Fatiha. So it's not a religious benefit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what is it? That you're well respected? No. You don't even have respect amongst your own people. Even people in the cult don't even respect it like that.
Yep.
So it's a lie. There is no benefit being provided. I mean, and like I said, I could go on and on, but I think that's got you got the point.
Look how close, as you read the ayats where Allah tells Rasulullah what to say, and then read Sal's what they criticize Sal's response to his family member, that the family member came to Salman and said, "Hey, if you believe in Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani and join the community, you're going to get help." And look, read Sal's response. Read what he says to them.
Salman replied that he didn't need Sheikh Sayyid Abdul Qadir Jilani, and he could reach Allah on his own.
Perfect. Aligns exactly with what Allah told Rasulullah something to say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Perfect.
So I don't got anything else. I didn't want to get too deep into this memo because it's just more typical cult shenanigans,
stuff, yeah.
And people are going over to celebrate their death of their sheikh and all that. Who really gives a crap? I don't give a crap. I mean,
yeah, this Earth Death Day, whatever that joint was on the previous page, whatever this is an innovation. Don't do it. Don't participate. Yeah. But I think, like I said, in all those things that we get into, talking about the shenanigans and the silly stuff that they do and the money and all that stuff. But the most deadliest thing is this thing, believing in someone other than Allah, that they have the powers of Allah, that without them you can't get there. The Shahada says La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Not anyone else. There's no one else that you need to blindly follow and accept them to be infallible. Yeah. And what he says, everyone else, this is, and you don't even put Rasulullah on that level. You're not going to call on Rasulullah and he's going to help you. That's shirk. That's kufr. That will lead you to joining Shaitan where he's at, to call on Rasulullah instead of Allah. Allah told Rasulullah to say, I only call on Allah. This is all we do, and calling on other than Allah is shirk. So leave it. But this is the most important thing. Whatever you do, whether you stay in this dumb silly cult or not, and I don't say that lightly, because it's the most dangerous thing you could possibly do. But whatever you do, do not believe that anyone, including Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani, is providing any benefits for you from the grave. It doesn't work like that.
It's funny because we're talking about Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani, and this was actually my research into Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani's works. Was actually one of the significant things that actually led me away from the cult, because I'm like, wait a minute, this doesn't match up with what's going on here. Like what Mubarak Jilani is teaching is not matching up with what Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani is teaching. Like when you actually read his books and stuff, right? But you mentioned about how we don't even ask assistance from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But I want people to think about this, right? And Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani puts it eloquently, just straight logic. And I'll tell you what he says at the end. But let's imagine for a second that Allah did allow us to seek assistance from people who were dead. If I had any choice to go seek assistance from somebody who was dead, why wouldn't I go to the greatest human being that ever lived and that has the closest relationship to Allah? Why would I go to anybody other than them? I would just say, hey, everybody go ask Rasulullah something for what you want. Forget everybody else. Forget the Sahabas. Forget the Imams. Forget all these Sufi sheikhs and all these people you call awliya. I know Rasulullah's position because Allah confirmed his position, right? So Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani, and I believe it's in his book Secret of Secrets, he does a great analogy. He explains very clearly that the dead can't teach. We can't learn from the dead, right? They can't teach us or provide us any assistance. This idea of like, oh, I got like my ijazah from this dead sheikh or my whatever, right? He's basically talking about that whole Sufi concept. And he says, because he said, if anybody could learn from somebody that was dead, we would all just learn from Prophet Muhammad and go directly to the source, and we wouldn't learn from anybody else. But we can't. That's why we have hadiths. That's why we have the Quran. That's why the Quran's preserved and the hadiths are preserved, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't need Sahih hadiths. We wouldn't need to keep track of those. We wouldn't even need the Quran, because we just go back to Rasul and say, hey, what was ayat 5 in Surah Ali Imran? Can you tell that to me again? Go do a sleep session and like go get the correct ayat. We wouldn't need all that if we could do all that. Just use your common sense. Well, I think that's it for this show. I know Hussein wanted to cover that one thing. We can cover on the next show, because I think we did talk about this before, this whole call on your sheikh type thing. But if you guys have any questions, you can type in the chat now. We're gonna just cover other two things. You see the nice gear that I have on and Mubarak has on. We have a merchant store, so if you want to support R2F, our initiatives, go ahead and click on the link. I'll also put it in the chat on the YouTube that you guys can click on. There's hats, there's t-shirts, there's hoodies. You may think the stuff is a little bit pricey, but it's for charity. We're gonna work on trying to get the prices down to be more affordable and all that. But it goes 100% profit goes to the charity, goes to our group working. We're not individually benefiting off of this. It just goes to help the stuff that we're doing, which soon we could probably disclose some of the big things that we've helped contribute to. But we're always trying to give to charities, especially during Ramadan. There's times when families are in need, and we give to that. So there's a lot of things that we do behind the scenes financially to help the Ummah, not only the Ummah, but actually people that have left the cult and need assistance breaking away from the cult, getting set up, and those sort of things. So I'll put the link up again. And guys, go ahead and post something and show your support.
Yeah, no, I'd even say, just to add to that, it is a thing where everybody can get on camera or make a video, and I know we encourage people to do that. Actually, everybody can, but sometimes people don't want to. I'd say this is a way. We don't pocket any of that money, but we spend our time and energy and effort to give dawah. And like our initial goal was just if we could just guide one person, and alhamdulillah, let's just say it's been a lot more than that, and that's by the grace of Allah. So what we're saying is that even something as small as getting some of the gear and helping to help fund some of the things that we're doing, inshallah, Allah will give you a benefit of helping to guide the people away from shirk, innovation, and cults and all these abuses. So you can participate in that and get the reward. As Rasulullah said, to guide even one person is better than all the red camels. Basically, the most expensive and the most valuable things that you think you could acquire, just helping to guide one person is better than all of that. So you can participate in that. I mean, it's for everybody, even the people who can't produce content to help. Well, this is one way you can help. I would say even for the people that hate RTF, they don't want you. Hey, listen, man, you want to take a swing, take a shot at Jafar, but you saw him in Walmart, but you couldn't do it. Get one of these. Matter of fact, even if you buy one, Jafar will send you one he has on right now. You can put it on a punching bag and just go to work. Just bam, bam, bam. You can, like I said, if you're, hey, listen. If you, I'll just say this, let's say, even if you need some excitement in your life or whatever, you know what I mean? Hey, listen. If you always, hey, listen, I know, so, I know. You've been saying, hey, you know what?
So what you're saying is, from what I'm getting, we need a specific Mubarak R2F that a man can buy.
I know how every time you ain't listening.
Show up in the bedroom like, hey.
Hey, listen, has the thrill gone? Has the flame faded away? You know what I mean? Hey, listen, one of those custom Jafar hoodies in a hat, man. Listen, hey.
You practice shirk. Ooh.
Oh, man.
Funny.
And it is real quick. If you just want to give and you don't need the merchandise or whatever, you can give by going to Givelify. You can go to our website and donate. You can do Cash App as well. Just again, $5-10, it goes to something. Feeding somebody, helping, building a well, distributing food, helping someone pay rent. It all goes somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, and I'd just like to say, like, I know I don't have the R2F merch, but listen, like, I'm trying to work on getting an R2F thobe, all right, so I can actually wear merch. I only ever wear thobes, if I'm being honest. And that thobe is currently in Lahut Lamacon, so whatever that thobe gets here from Lahut Lamacon, I'll have it. I'll have it for the show. All right.
Well, if it's shipping from Lahut Lamacon, you might just wake up with it on.
Exactly. Listen, I might wake up tomorrow morning.
Hey, listen. No, the Lahut Lamacon thobes is gonna, once you put it on, you go to Lahut Lamacon.
They teleport you there.
He goes straight there. He gonna put that joint on and be like,
Oh my God!
I feel like that's a black lady in Pakistan. Like, I want $100,000 in a passport to go back home.
I want $20,000 in my bank account by Friday.
Oh, yo, boy.
oh man, that was good.
All right.
Looks like we don't got any questions.
Yeah, we're free to go. All right. Subhanallah, walhamdulillah, wa la ilaha illallah, wallahu akbar, wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I'm gonna tell y'all the real. Oh, are we? Let me wait till we get.
All right, we're done.
I was gonna say I had to stop myself. I said, no, don't do that.